just,
It's all
it
right.
can.
I'm used to the powder keg.
I
I love you, man.
I miss the powder keg. That's my
Yeah,
favorite.
What's
yeah.
the
We
powder
should we should
keg?
we
It's
should
from
try to
Sea
get
of
Sea of Thieves
Thieves.
again.
Sea of Thieves. It's literally a gunpowder keg that you can
Oh,
blow up ships and other people. And it was my favorite thing in the game. I
that is
wonder
fun.
why. Yeah,
I mean, I
because
like to blow things up.
yeah, I think I identify as a powder keg. That's what I'm gonna say from now on.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
What's your
One of the
Mars
best
in
things to
again?
see.
mine
Yeah.
Sagittarius.
Okay, well that's fire, right? Fire Mars.
Yeah, yeah, but
Yeah.
it's loosely conjunct Saturn, and I
Okay.
have yeah, and then obviously Aquarius stuff. But yeah, I know,
I'm
Yeah.
I
let
know.
he who is without sin throw the first stone.
Yeah,
None of us can throw stones.
yeah.
Let he who is without powder cast the first spark.
Okay. Yeah, that's nice. Oh wait, that's a new version of it.
Yeah.
I see, and it connects with the powder keg thing, which is
Yeah.
Yeah.
nice. Um,
Yep.
so I've got a couple things that I was thinking of throwing out for possible things to talk about. I want to
I
talk
like
about
them
the
all.
transition of uh, Venus into Aries, or
Mm.
talk about the Neptune into Aries transition, because I've
Ooh,
been
yeah.
thinking about that a lot lately.
Let's go.
And I've also got a prophecy about Mexico. So that's about it.
Oh, oh shit. Oh yeah,
Um,
Venus is moving soon. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm okay with any of those stuff. So just
Well,
yeah, as long
no,
as you
and then
guys want to go, I'm down
yeah.
tonight.
Well, and then we can bridge that into like Venus going retrograde if we want to talk about that, and then the whole like, I mean, it's a little cluster of the late Pisces degrees of stuff.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
and
for sure. You got the
yeah,
the south node, no, the north node there
North
too,
Node, yeah, and then Neptune obviously, and then
and
yeah,
Venus. Yep,
yeah,
Venus just passed Neptune, I think,
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah,
a day ago or something.
yeah, and
What
Neptune
does
is
that mean that it passed it? So it like as
Conjunction,
its
so
rotation?
it's further ahead of it in the circle than it used to be. So Venus moves faster, so it caught up with Neptune, made the conjunction, and then passed it. So because it keeps moving,
So
then it's gonna
a conjunction when it's at
zero
the same
degrees.
angle with each other,
Yeah,
right? Okay, and
I think
then
yes. I mean, yeah,
same place, yeah,
okay,
same place. Yeah.
well, for sure, the same degree is where we are
Yes.
yeah.
Where
relative to
Neptune.
us, because that's how astrology works. It's relative to
Bravo,
where we are on the
bravo,
planet.
Troy. Yes, you
I
get
just
it.
need to break. I'm still needing to break stuff down so I can
No, that's
understand
good.
stuff.
Fuck yeah. No, that's your
I'm an
job.
overthinker, so when I get the basics down, that means my basics are like more like level 2 rather than a level 1, just because I overthink shit and I need to, you know what I'm saying?
Anybody
Yeah,
do anything fun on Imbolc?
you're an Imbolc. How dare you?
You're
What
Imbolc.
what
You're
day
an
was it?
involved?
Was
Sounds like
that
a big.
Saturday? It was Saturday.
Saturday? What did I do Saturday?
I was working.
I was working.
Okay.
Yay!
Yay.
Yeah. No, I should have though. That's wait, Saturday. What? No.
Yeah, we made a fire. I went to my neighbor's house and he made a fire and we drank a bunch and I ate like burnt ends and got really really faded. It was nice. Yeah.
That sounds
Sounds
so
great.
nice. Yeah. Oh, shut up.
No, it was. I'm going to talk about it more. As a matter of fact, it was a really
Yeah.
good time around
Yeah.
the fire. Tons of beer. There was really nice green beans and like, um, uh, somebody else. There was just so many good things to eat and so many good times. But Imbolc is like it's reverse Thanksgiving, right? So you try to be thankful on Imbolc of the things that are still yet to come, like thankful of your blessings in the future. Um, and it was really cool because the moon was up in the sky in Pisces, and you could see Venus right by it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
after the
So is
sun
that
went down and Venus goes away, you could see Saturn right next to it on the other
Yeah.
side. I think
Oh
it was
yeah.
really cool. It was a cool moment.
That's awesome. I mean, I dig it. Is that the midway between the solstice and the equinox? Is that what that is?
Yeah, midway. That's the midpoint. It's the
Okay.
pagan year or whatever is like the
Yeah, yeah.
solstices and the equinoxes and the cross quarter days for sure.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's that one. Okay, gotcha. It sounded familiar. Well, that sounds like a great time, to be honest. I'm kind of envious or jealous, but
Yeah.
more so just fuck yeah. It sounds like a
My
good time.
neighbor was not celebrating Imbolc by any stretch of the imagination. He was just drinking. But he just happened to do all the things that kind of worked for Imbolc, like making a
Yeah.
fire and like having a feast and having friends over and stuff. So it was kind of cool.
Well,
But
well, those are very primal
yeah.
human things, though.
True.
Yeah.
Fire, food, and people.
Yeah.
Fire, food, and friends. There we go.
Yes.
Alliteration. Yeah. But no, sometimes people tap into these things without realizing it. So like maybe he
Yeah.
did it. I mean, obviously it being a Saturday might have helped, but like sometimes people just do stuff around certain astrological stuff without even knowing the astrological stuff. They
Yep.
still do it. So it just kind of is like another proof of astrology, I guess, or of the cyclical nature of things. I mean, we're not. I mean, obviously, Imbolc is not like an astrology thing, but it's talking about like how there's like points in the year that matter, and
Yep.
yeah. So I think it's cool.
Water moons are also my absolute favorite time to drink.
Mhm.
Because I'll always get a little bit more into the vibe of things when it's a water moon. Like there's bad days too, like Gemini moon is a bad day to drink, and Virgo moon tends to be a bad day to drink for me.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
Just-
Pretty much any other one I can manage, but
Yeah.
those Aquarius is not great either, but it's Gemini is consistently bad.
Yeah.
Because I'll do if I drink too much on a Gemini moon, I think I switch to my other personality. Like I think I have a shadow personality, and that comes out more often
Interesting.
under the Gemini moon.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
My shadow personality, you guys know, it's grumpy old Nick. Grumpy, serious. And then like, and whenever I'm like called out on that personality, I'm like, what? Fuck, I hate because you're not the only ones that call me out on it. Like, I mean, the person in the other room, she hates it too. So it's like grumpy old Nick needs to take a fucking chill pill. And that's like my life lesson is to learn to take a chill pill. But that
Have
pill,
you thought about gummies? It might not be it might be like a low grade weed gummy that you need to take rather than a chill pill.
Yeah, I mean, that's funny you bring that up. I haven't Troy, by the way, I have not smoked weed or taken any edibles in like 4 or 5 months. Whenever the last time I did on our show was like I think in September. So
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know. No, it's there's no reason for it, but I just haven't. And I think I get too serious. Maybe I need like some DMT, to quote Joe Rogan.
Well, I think from my understanding of the human experience, it comes down to much more of understanding yourself. So the thing is that like a lot of these things is like, even if it's astrology, we still have to learn how those influences impact our lives and our personality and our body. So, and then plus we have all the other random shit and other karma that we interact with other people that we gain as well on top of that. So a lot of that is just learning the intricacies of what makes us who we are. And because a lot of those kind of emotions come from a place where my needs aren't getting met and I can't trust other people to help me get my needs met. So therefore, I'm going to go to a whole bunch of different scenarios and everybody's different, but and in this case, you were talking about just getting a little bit angry or like just, frustrated,
Yeah. Angry is too far, but frustrated, grumpy, and.
Well, I say angry because it's perceived as anger.
Yeah. I'm not actually angry, but fair enough. That's a good insight. I appreciate that.
As I say, frustration is being angry at your circumstance, but not at like any like individual thing. You know what I'm saying? That's how I see it. So when I'm
Yeah.
frustrated, I'm really pissed off at this situation and that things are going wrong right now. And like, why aren't they going right? But I'm not blaming any individual thing, except for maybe myself.
Oh, I'm good at blaming myself. Boy.
Well, I'm good at blaming myself and others. I mean, I'm amba blamerous, like I've got it on both sides.
You're,
I can.
yeah.
It's easy when you're like kind of in an irritated state. Like almost anything can set you off too, right? So if like it's much easier if you're already irritated for like some little thing that normally wouldn't bug you to be the one thing that like pisses you off and makes you angry at another person. That happens to me quite often.
Yeah.
And I've got to really
Yes.
check that because I'll be in a bad mood because of nothing to do with that other person, and then they'll just say the wrong thing, and I'll be like, "Urgh." And it's I mean, I'm not that mean of well, I'm a pretty mean person, but it's like,
You used
I'm
to be
not
meaner,
like
that's for sure.
malevolent mean generally.
No,
I'm just
no, you're
like
not.
really
You're not.
pokey. I'm a pokey person, so I'm
Yeah. I
poking
know.
people.
I'm just kidding.
I'm a stabber.
Yeah.
Well,
You're
you
like-
like to poke into the darkness where people aren't looking at themselves. You like to poke people's shadow selves and be like, "Hey, you didn't even realize this was part of you, did you?"
Yes, and which is rude. I mean, that's a rude habit to have, but I love
Oh,
it. So I'm
it
just
is
gonna keep with it.
definitely rude in modern day society.
I mean, okay, yeah, but you can also be a little bit what's the word?
Just
What's the word?
Diabolical, manipulative.
No,
I mean,
no.
there's so many words.
No. No, I know. No, that's not what I was thinking. I was thinking more like you poke to stir shit up, kind of. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you like to just kind of like be like, oh, I see your spot that I know I can poke and it will. You're
he's
good at that.
stimulating karma.
You have that ability to like just poke and then stir.
And then watch it blow up and be
Yeah,
like,
I
can't believe this happened.
Yeah.
That's why people hate me, is because I'm like,
No,
my hands are
Well,
clean. My hands
But don't
are
you have?
clean. I
Didn't you
didn't
say
do
you have
anything.
Scorpio placements, right?
What?
You said
People
you have
hate-
Scorpio.
Oh yeah, I've got a couple. Yeah. Just
a
few.
couple.
Well,
a
to
couple.
me, that associates with Scorpio energy.
Oh yeah,
So
for sure.
Wait,
And
but
then-
just for reference, what are your placements of Scorpio? Just so I know.
I've got Mars, the Moon, Uranus, and Venus within 10 degrees. Yeah.
Just a couple.
Moon.
Just a couple.
You said Mars and Moon in Scorpio.
Yeah. My strongest Scorpio placement is my Moon conjunct Uranus. It's very tight.
Mm.
But then Mars, and they're all
Butthole.
conjunct. They're all
Yeah.
officially conjunct.
Yeah.
Oh well, that makes a lot of sense from because I've had as one of my old roommates said that is like not every astrological sign is a verb, but Scorpio is definitely a verb that you can get Scorpioed.
Yes.
Mm.
I mean, I Scorpioed Tremin recently, so obviously people can get Scorpioed sometimes.
Well, but you're just describing more or less the proverbial stinger. Comes out of nowhere, boop, boop, and then you're just like not even sure what's happening because of the venom, and you're like, "What? Mom? When did you come to town, Thunk?"
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, my Scorpio nature is probably why I have about 75% of my enemies, and then my Libra nature is the other 25%. So it's like,
Oh.
I'm pretty sure. I
It's
mean, I'm
not
not saying that
70.
there's so
That's
many.
high.
What?
Yeah. That 75 seems high, but go ahead.
For the Scorpio nature, that I'm just saying of the enemies I have.
Oh! I thought you said like
75% are because of a Scorpio thing that I did. And
gotcha,
25% are from a Libra thing that I did. So
Gotcha. I thought you meant like 75% of people are
no,
your
no, no.
enemies. Oh,
No,
okay,
no,
okay.
no, no,
I was
no.
like, that's a bit much.
In fact, generally, if I give people enough time, they'll stop being my enemy if they stay around, But
oh yeah.
I have a lot of enemies that are my enemies, but still kind of want to hang out where I'm at, which is kind of frustrating a little bit sometimes. They're like, could I still hang out in your space and just be here and like hate on you from right here in the space that you made? Is that okay? Could I please just do that? And it's frustrating, I mean, but it's okay because
Yeah.
I always know
People are lonely.
I can stab them and it'll hurt. So I mean, it's a good feeling.
It's poisonous.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, the thing is that it's for most people they would still rather have negative attention than no interaction. Because the thing is, it's just like even the worst antisocial, psychotic, like terrible people or whatever that are broken, you can still torture them by putting them into solitary confinement.
Yeah.
So it's like we're all fucking built to interact with people, you know, like that's just biologically who we are, even if our psychology isn't built for that.
True. True.
Yeah. I'd be okay with solitary confinement. Just leave me alone.
I'd be all right with it, I think, for a while. I don't think I could be in the hole, you know?
No.
Like, yeah, I don't think darkness
and
isolation would be that good. I don't think isolation would be that good in general.
It's not
sometimes
good for you.
sometimes the hole has light, depending on this. I mean, but either way, it's still the same thing. Solitary confinement is one of the most inhumane things to do to somebody.
It is.
Yeah, it's pretty rude. I mean, there's like you could like pull out their fingernails and like you know, pour iodine on, you know, the underneath it, you know, after you pulled
negative attention.
I mean,
some people that's a
torture
fetish.
Is worse than torture is worse than isolation.
Okay.
Hey, wait. So do you think for any single person on the planet that isolation, like we're talking about, is a sexual turn on?
Maybe a Virgo. This guy right there. He's hard just thinking about it.
I am.
What he's saying right now. He's
God, I mean,
chubby.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't bother me for a while. I'd get bothered after a while, but I could handle it for a while.
Libra too?
Yeah. Good memory.
Yeah, but your Libra's what's your Libra placement again?
It's
moon.
His rising
and moon.
It's like his mask. It's not even really him, you know.
Yeah, and my moon though. But no, my Aquarius and Pisces placements would not mind just being alone. Like not like but like literally being alone. Like that's one thing. Like so, Amber likes to sleep with like a little light that like I forget what it's called, but it's like a little light that she puts on, and like I love darkness and silence, and she likes to have music going and a little light.
God.
And I'm like, I like darkness and silence, but I've learned to adapt because you know that's the man's job is to be a little bitch and do what the woman wants. But like, thank you. But no, I'm kidding. But I literally, and she makes fun of me for it. But she's like, oh yeah, exactly. But she's like, oh, you like darkness and silence. I'm like, yeah, that sounds amazing. I mean, that's how I've always slept. It's just darkness and silence.
You mean no other noise? You're not saying you want silence from your partner.
No. I'm talking about like if you're going to sleep, like darkness and silence. Like you don't have someone talking.
I thought you were talking about other bedroom activities doing.
Oh no. We're talking literal. No. Okay.
I just wanted to be dark and no music when I'm lovemaking, and I'm just like,
no.
Okay.
No.
I mean, you want to be focused? It's like, hey, babe, you're my world.
You want everybody in the apartment complex to hear it, okay?
I can get that, but then you were like, oh, like she likes music and lights on, and I'm like, okay, and I was just like.
But
I'm talking about sleep.
Sleeping.
That's way more boring.
Exactly. Specifically sleep.
Lights on when she's sleeping?
No, like a little it's like a candle, but it's a light bulb and it gives off like a nice orange glow. I forget what it's called. But it's like a little like nightlight kind of thing, but it's nice. I'm not complaining about it. But like I could go with darkness, silence, just like put me in a coffin basically and I will sleep. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. I want it as quiet as possible and then as dark as possible. And I even if it's completely dark in the room, I still put something over my eyes.
Oh, see, that's not a bad idea.
Oh no, like as soon as I figured that out,
you can get darkness for
completely changed my whole fucking And all I do is I just have a stack of like soft cotton t-shirts. And then I just it sounds a little bit weird, but you just get the armpit. The armpit fits right over the nose. And then you just have this soft cotton sitting on your
Okay.
face.
No, that would
And
be
then-
nice.
Well, and then I just like, and then when I roll over, I just flip it over, and
Yeah. I mean, I could try that. Yeah. No, I'm
that
Yeah.
that and wearing socks at night because I grew up basically just being barefoot in bed, but I'm naked and I only wear socks, and then I cover my
Ellie wears
eyes.
socks.
And
on
then
your
a dark room,
cock.
that's huge for helping me get to sleep. The
yeah.
darkness and socks.
So, have you ever been scared of the dark? Because I've never been scared of the dark, even as a kid. Have you ever been? Either one of you?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
as a kid, a little bit.
I grew up
But-
on 20 acres in the middle of the woods.
Right.
And I would have to go down
There's
and
woods.
put in horses and stuff,
my.
and sometimes like do stuff outside. And
Yeah.
we had a long driveway with nobody else around, and it was the Pacific Northwest, and that's kind of a the woods in the Pacific Northwest are kind of spooky in general, probably
Mhm.
because we killed all the Indians or something. I don't know, but it's
Yeah.
there's something going on there.
Mhm.
And sometimes maybe my Scorpio moon would just start twigging out about that. So yeah, I
Fair.
had a little bit of fear of the dark when I was
Fair
little.
enough. No, fair enough. I appreciate it. I was genuinely curious because I never have, and I'm not trying to like brag because I don't think it doesn't. It does. It's more. I've always been really like for me, darkness is like, it's like I think there's like it's the simulation of light and sound. Yes, exactly. And then the darkness is like,
you again.
But I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm so emo, darkness. No, it's nothing like that. It's more just like
you're
darkness.
wearing a black scarf, and you're saying you don't
Hey.
want to be emo.
This is an,
Okay,
yeah.
we now have the title to this episode. I
What?
don't want to be emo.
I don't want to be emo, and it'll just be me
How
like,
about tickle me emo? That'd be good.
oh,
Or did you say I didn't mean to be emo? Either
No,
way.
no. Yeah, both of those. I'm writing them down though. 'cause-
We'll check back to see what the transcript says.
How about trans scripts?
That's already a series on I believe Benjamin Boyce's channel. He interviewed a lot of detransitioners. I have to say,
People
I've
get
listened to
mad
a
at
few of those
guys.
interviews. Those
go.
are some of the hardest like life stories to listen to.
oh yeah.
Like that's just
'Cause often they lose their tribe twice, once in the transition in and once in the transition out, right? Like that happens
Well,
almost
but-
all the time.
I'm just saying, like, I've had my own traumas. I've done a lot of research into a lot of different modalities of trauma, the different understandings of how trauma is caused, and the different, like, structure of psychology of why it happens. And it's just like when I listen to that stuff, it's some of the hardest stuff. Like, I can listen to a lot of really tough stuff. I can watch violent stuff, but like that's some of the hardest stuff for me to listen to. Of someone, it's hard when those things happen and people regret it so much. It's just, I think it's the regret, the regret, and
Yeah.
because like
consequences.
let me put it this way: when you have that regret in battle, it's a little different. Everything's heat of the moment. There's so much going on and such like this. But when you make errors in your life, when they're kind of, like semi-coerced, but you could, or maybe should, or would have known better.
Mhm.
Some weird thing like that. That's the thing that's like really hard to get over, and maybe I'm just projecting on it from my own issues of things that I wish I would have known when I was younger, and
Mhm.
and I really knew better, but I still did it anyway.
No,
When I was
exactly.
younger, wish that I knew.
That's one of my
what I know
favorite
now.
karaoke songs, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a great song.
Like
My
there's a
Faces,
difference.
Ooh La La.
There's a difference between like you know, obviously as you grow older, you learn and like you're like, oh, well, looking back, I made mistakes. But there's a difference between that and like on some deep level, you knew what you were doing was wrong, but you like suppressed or ignored that voice. And then you just did the thing anyways. I think that's harder. That's where we get that feeling. Cause it's like if you know and like it's one thing to have like, you know, like, okay, yeah, I could looking back,
Hey,
I made
Amber.
mistakes. They see you by the way. They say hi.
Is she getting down below the desk again?
She is, yeah. That's adorable. That's so funny though. You called it immediately. They say hi, they see you. Moo. She says moo.
I hope she's in a good mood.
Are you in a
Oh,
Troy asked if you're in a good mood.
I mean,
Yes, it's a yes. She's always
I mean,
she's in a great
it's an Aries
mood.
move. It's got to be kind of.
Yeah.
That's
I
what's,
love
fun, that's what's fun about Aries moon. When they're angry, they're kind of happy, right? So even when they're angry, you're like in kind of a good place.
Oh no.
with them.
Her anger is sexy.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Because then she gets the whip out and she beats me
Oh,
and
nice.
she yeah.
You should get the
Oh.
cat of nine tails. I think that's the
Yeah.
next step. I think
Ooh.
you need
Yeah.
to
Ow.
go one step
Yeah.
bigger.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
I-
Love you.
and maybe this is just my understanding of Aries, but like an anger for Aries is very like core to who they are. Like they don't get pissed off about things that matter to them, not about things that don't. Is that would you say that's true?
That's really well said. I wish Amber heard that. She would agree with that completely. That is beautifully said.
Are you saying
Yeah.
things that matter? Because everybody gets pissed off at things that matter to them. Like,
What?
But I'm
Oh,
so
we'll
I
have
just
to
need
look-
go ahead.
No, sorry,
but-
sorry.
but let me put it this way. It's a thing that like sometimes when it's a normal psychology thing when people are upset, they almost look for other things to be upset about so they can continue that state of mind where Aries kind of just like they're more like focused on exactly what they're pissed off at and they're like no all that other stuff is distracting me from what I'm actually pissed off. This is the actual problem. This is the thing that's actually fucking my life up.
Yeah.
And so and
Do you see him getting into the frame? He's like, "Grrr." You're being very Aries describing Aries. Is all.
Oh, I dig it. I love it.
I have a
I
much wider lens on this than I usually do. So
Oh no,
the
no.
other one's a
By the
very
way,
tight lens.
by the way, I love this view of you, like in terms of like for the podcast.
It looks better. Yeah.
The lighting, the fucking everything. It's so much better.
Well, I mean, I do have to say that like I just moved into a new place and
Yeah.
when I was sitting here and I was talking and I was looking at all these maps on the background and then I was like, what are those maps of? They're soil maps. Like that's so fucking cool. So fucking cool.
Coming in here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, it's also
Oh.
very grounding. So
Yeah. No, that's very random though. Soil maps. like,
Rounding.
that's-
Yep.
Good one.
well, I was a farmer for years, so I
Exactly.
studied soil so much, and there's so many different soil types, and then it's like, how do you unlock those soil types? And long story short, biology, you got to have good compost. If you have good compost, you can go take all the minerals you need out of pretty much any single soil type and be able to grow almost anything you need, just depending on if it's your right biome and stuff like that. Short answer.
Yep.
Can I grow happiness? No, just kidding. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Yes, you can. That's what most gardeners would say when you bite into a fresh tomato, cucumber, carrot, whatever it is that you love. You take that first bite, fresh off the vine. Is that not happiness?
It is. It is.
What I like about Aries anger is it's usually like really hot for a second or for a couple minutes, and then like it's literally gone once it's gone, right? It's different
yeah.
than some kinds of anger because like some kinds of anger are like they just build and boil and toil and trouble, and then they're just mad at you forever. Like a cancer, if they're really
Well, it's
mad
like-
at you, they'll just hold it for the rest of their life in their body, and then it'll come out at you whenever they're mad at you, you know. But In
Or
Aries, they're just
Scorpio.
like, I'm mad at you in the moment, which
Yeah.
is
100%.
often
it's-
shitty, but it's fine.
Those
Yeah.
fear-based emotions are like weeds. Like the weeds that, like, if you don't pull out the root, it's just going to come back.
Yeah, you got to
You
feel
know?
them.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
Well,
no, I agree. I just think it's like it's nice because they also they don't they tell you why they're pissed. There's no like you don't have to like second guess. You don't have to try to like read a million fucking layers. They fucking will just tell you, and you might not like it, but they're fucking direct about it. So it's very nice. Yeah,
Yes.
well,
it's like,
and the thing
okay.
is well, and they're going to tell you what they think the actual problem is, you know?
Yeah.
Because they're
Which
not
might be
always
wrong.
insightful.
They often are
For
wrong.
sure.
Sure, but
But the thing is, that's
what they
a
feel.
lot different. But not all people do that. A lot of people love to make. I'm pissed about you. Let's just say about, I don't know. I don't feel you respect me, but then I'm going to make it about the dishes. You know what I'm saying? Then I'm going to fight about the
Yeah.
dishes. But the thing is what I really is what is like, because you don't do this one thing, that is evidence that you don't respect me. But if you could actually have the conversation about respect and cut to the chase of it, you could find a different way to build that respect and bypass the weird little whatever side issue it is.
Yeah, I choose
you know?
whichever way keeps me from having to do the dishes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. It's like fuck
Which
the
right
dishes.
now is making my kids do them, which is working pretty good. So I like that. I like that. I have little
Well,
disturbance.
I'm glad that they're at the responsibility age rather than the young person worker phase.
Yeah.
Oh, they're
He's-
going to stay at the young person worker phase for a long time. I was a young person worker, and my kids are going to be too. It teaches them good things. They should
Oh,
learn
yeah.
to do chores and
Oh, yeah.
fucking be helpful.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Well, human resources.
I guess the
Yes.
one thing I've learned in hindsight from me growing up and such like that is
From
essentially
me
you have
growing
to.
up.
Negro.
What did you
yeah?
say?
Wait,
Hold on.
wait.
Phrasing.
Do I need to edit that? What'd you say? What'd you say? What'd you fucking say? Knee growing up?
You probably have to edit that. I was just playing.
Oh no, I wasn't.
No, so it's just you
It's like, nope.
is setting chores up into a meaning structure, you
Yeah.
know,
Yes.
and providing proper context for them, you know.
Yes.
And that really comes into a little bit of more of the Jordan Peterson thing, where you just literally be like, hey, I'm communicating, I'm trying to teach you responsibility in these things for when you get older and whatever, but still have
Yeah.
compassion for them, that like, hey, I'm trying to let you understand what the world standards are, not my standards, you know, because my standards are I'm always gonna be here for you and I'm always gonna forgive you, but the world isn't, you know.
World can be a bitch.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to grab the world and just
Violate it. Yeah, that's what DuPont does.
Yeah, exactly. They violate the world with their chemicals.
Yes.
That's it.
Speaking of Mexico, so anyway,
Great
there was
segue.
this. Yeah, thanks. That was. I thought it was pretty good.
It was.
So I think I know maybe the future of what they're trying to set up for Mexico. There's two future things that I want to talk about real quick.
Yeah.
The first one is, I think, the 10,000 troops on the border on their side. Here's what I think is going to happen. They're going to be the first point of contact, which just came in today. Mexico agreed to 10,000 troops on their border or whatever. So that's why we pushed off the tariffs for another month.
Yeah.
So they're going to be the first point of contact of the cartels. And the cartels are going to shoot some of the Mexican soldiers that are up there guarding the border. And I believe that X and Elon are going to really push that narrative big in the, so that you start getting buy-in from Mexico and American citizens to take on the cartels. So instead of it being like the US doing it all on its own, it's going to be like, yeah, it's time. And we are going to, I think, wipe them off the face of the planet. I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. So that felt like one thing that was coming up.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like that's the point. It's like they've got to make Mexico feel the pain of the border a little bit more than they do right now, and understand how bad the cartels actually are, right?
Oh
Because they
yeah.
basically have ownership of the political class in Mexico, and plenty of the political class in the US, if we're being honest, right? Um, so I think that that's going to be the thing that sets up that next kind of domino to fall. Um,
I
yeah,
hear
but
that, and I agree with it. And I had the same intuition hits that essentially that um, it was just kind of at least what my intuition was more or less telling me from the circumstance that like what would get Mexico to agree all this stuff? Hey, we're going to work with you and your military to get rid of the cartels. Oh, okay, sweet, done. That seems like a very simple, way to solve that, because that's a great value proposition, because essentially as far as I understand it, that the Mexican government is not very corrupt because all the corrupt people work for the cartels, and the cartels collectively are more powerful than the government, but there's
yeah,
several cartels working against each other. So it's this weird, like, it's almost like a gang war, and one of the gang factions is the government, but they're not corrupt. As
Yeah.
far as I kind of understand Mexican power struggle dynamics.
I have
Yeah.
never heard of the Mexican government not being corrupt, but I'll look into it more. I've always thought that they were known as pretty corrupt,
They're corrupt.
especially like the PRI or whatever the main
Yeah.
party is.
Yeah. They're
I think
corrupt.
well, the thing is from my understanding is that in our lifetimes, especially the last like 25 years, I think, like Colombians basically were the cartels running everything, and Mexicans were essentially just part of the chain putting it across the border. At some point, Mexican cartels essentially realized, hey, we're the bottleneck point. We have all the power, and they leveraged that and basically took over all the cartels. So then essentially everything in South America and such like that ended up essentially being farmers. They lost all the power in that exchange. The economics and the things are still going on, but the powerhouse essentially moved to Mexico. So
Mm.
so
Well, I
like
think it
all
helps
of
that the big moneymaker is fentanyl instead of cocaine now, right? That's got to help because you're not as dependent on Colombia for that. You just need the precursor from China to make it. So,
yep. Yeah, that's
uh,
that's
Yeah.
what it seems right now.
You don't have to grow a plant. You just have to make a chemical. So yeah, it's true.
Well, and import it. You don't have to have land. You don't have to have a base. You can import it to wherever you want. You can have a roaming
Yeah.
lab. I mean, I don't know enough about it, but I'm sure there's probably at least $500,000 of equipment to make it. But it's probably enough that you could. It's probably small enough that you could fit it within two tractor trailer, two trailers. Two big
Yeah.
semi truck trailers.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And yeah. No, I mean, my only thoughts on this whole situation is fuck yeah. Trump's playing his chess game where he's like, I'm gonna do something over here to get you to do this other thing over here.
yeah.
I respect it. I want to learn how to do it because I don't know what kind of manipulative I mean, is Gemini that manipulative? Are they
He
that
is 10th house
clever?
Gemini with Uranus conjunct the sun
Yeah,
and the North
yeah,
Node conjunct, and it's
yeah.
10th house.
Well,
So I think he's kind of a magician. He's like, I think he plays off like a fool, like the fool. I think that's a
Yeah.
Uranian thing, but he's
Yeah.
actually like a mastermind, right? So he's like, he plays this game
Yep.
where he
and I
he uses
yep.
his ego, which is Leo rising, right? And it's like backed by Mars, which is in the 12th, and Pluto, which is in the 12th. So he
Yeah.
uses this this big ego front, um, to help manipulate people. He uses his ego as
Yeah.
like this punching bag and
He's-
creates all these people project their shadow onto him.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting. And he always hits back, which is interesting.
Well, no, he's
Well,
successful. He's very
He's
successful.
a good
Go ahead.
counter puncher, actually.
Yeah,
yeah.
Whether
and
you
his-
like him or not.
Yeah.
His
yeah.
general negotiation strategy, as far as I can tell, I haven't read Art of the Deal. I actually might get the audiobook now, but is basically more or less that he wants to essentially renegotiate, or how does he plays hardball so that he can essentially take someone who's not ready to negotiate to force them to the negotiation table.
Yep. Yeah.
And then he's always going to essentially have, once he gets them to the negotiation table, he's going to have two options essentially. I can fuck you up, or we can work together. Do you want to work together? So he's basically going to have a win-win solution and a win-lose solution. And he says, I'm going to win either way. Do you want to win with me?
Yeah.
And I think that's his general strategy for negotiations, especially when we're talking about in the tariffs.
Yeah. No, I just think that there's like a deeper level to it. I agree with you, by the way. But I
A
think
way
that
deeper level, yes.
Yeah, he knows how to like it's like some reverse psychology shit where like he knows how to like it's like he'll say something, like he puts something out there, he'll say something, and he knows that people are going to react in a certain way, but then in their reaction it gets him what he wants. Does that make sense?
Wins.
So like yeah.
Well,
through the reaction, basically.
Yeah.
The
how
oversimplified, it's oversimplifying it, saying the big ask. So when you ask the big ask, what you're doing is you're essentially putting someone into a more pliable state and more neuroplastic, because essentially what you're saying is shit has to change. How do you want it to change? So he basically goes in, knocks their house over, or at least says, gives them an eviction notice or whatever, basically saying, hey, there's a storm coming. What do you want to do about it? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a big part of it. I just think that there's like a level of cleverness that we need to attribute. We need to give Gemini gets a bad rap. We need to give Gemini, not just him, but Gemini in general.
It's due. Yeah.
Exactly. And there's a cleverness to it where it's like it's thought out, and it's thought out in a way where they will play the I forget the word, you like the fool or whatever, but where you think like, oh well, they're just dumb, they don't know what they're talking about. Like there's so many examples, but like the whole like ivermectin, or like the injecting bleach and all this like all these things where you like think, oh, that's
using
just
light
fucking
to cure things.
Yes,
yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. And but then like somehow it like it comes around to like being like, oh well, he was right, and there was things that it gets people to think about things.
He tells like
real quick,
deliberate
I was literally
to get people to report stuff.
Yeah,
actually, which is crazy.
It's clever.
I was literally watching his press briefing
Yeah.
that day when he said it, and I was literally like, because I got laid off and I was watching the press briefing, and when he was talking about the bleach and the stuff like that, and it's like it was normal Trump speak, and like Trump said it like in a normal way that he says it, and it wasn't even one of his gaffes, because he gaffes once in a while, and sometimes he puts his foot in his mouth, but this wasn't one of those times. He was literally just being like, hey, I heard about this thing. I heard about this thing. I heard about this thing. We have some options that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
And all he was doing was like literally
something highly scientific in a way that people could understand. And because he said it like a little bit awkwardly, the media made it their news cycle for like a week.
Exactly.
Right?
And then everyone learns about it. And
now the media can't even keep up with the news cycle. The news cycle is going way faster than the media can keep up.
Well,
and I think that's the main strategy this time. Just go fast.
And to be honest, that's where he starts to get into the what people call the 4D chess thing.
Yeah.
And it's not that he's playing in 4D chess, but it's that like a lot of people have said, it's basically like, there was the New Hope when he came in, and then there was, the Empire Strikes Back, and then Biden won, and now it's Return of the Jedi, and he's coming back, and now he's actually a trained, He actually like he had 4 years to be what if, and do all this research. But not only that, had thousands of other people helping him figure out what they're going to do as soon as they get in there. Like,
It's
to be honest, we've never had a presidency like this ever. You
no,
know?
it's a very Herculean thing that he's trying to do. And
Oh,
he's
yeah.
got like a lot of people behind him. And you can be always trying to, I mean, you can be on either side of it that he's trying to do it for evil or good, or maybe he can even be neutral, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
But the way that people see it is definitely like the way they're reacting, right? How they feel about him tends to be pretty linked to how they feel about his policies. Um, and
well, yeah.
many people are just poisoned to him based on narrative poison over a course of a long time. They can't even
Yep.
admit that he's funny, which I think is difficult not to admit because sometimes he's really fucking funny, you know?
Well,
Um,
the death of humor in a personality is one of the first signs of like mental illness or cult or whatever. But basically, like the lack of humanity. Like you should be able to laugh at something that's funny, even if you disagree with it.
yeah. Even if you don't like the person. Yeah, for sure.
If it's actually funny.
Yeah. I mean, it's often pretty funny. I mean, basically his speeches during his big what were they? The rallies were comedy bits. I mean, basically he had like his hour long comedy special that he just kept doing, which I thought was pretty cool. Is everybody gone? Am I talking to myself in an empty house? All right.
I'm just grabbing some socks. I heard everything you said. Yeah, I'm just in my new house and it doesn't have a centralized heat, and so they all have the little heaters with the little like analog old school thermostat on it. And
Mm-hmm.
when I was moving in, I turned them all down so I wasn't wasting heat as the door was open. And now I'm trying to find the right level again. So my toes are cold. So I had to go run and grab some socks really quick. I thought I had like 20 seconds, but apparently I didn't.
No, it's all good. Make your little toesies warm. The
Oh,
cat
they're so
just
much
jumped
better
up in
now.
my lap. Let's
Mm.
just move this down. Cat
See,
tail.
you got a cat and I got a toe. I love
Yep.
this.
Hey, kitty. The other big intuition that I had
Can
on
I say something on that last subject real quick before
yeah,
you switch?
yeah, of course.
There's so much going on with the administration right now with the change in Trump, and so many people are freaking out. And I'm not going to say I'm 100% sure anything that's going to happen on stuff but so much of the stuff is obviously negotiation tactics, and people are freaking out to the negotiation tactics, which is exactly what the negotiation tactics are made for.
Yes.
And it's just like, I just wanted to say that because a lot of people are really freaking out, and it's just like, come on, you're just playing into his hand. So even if you hated Trump, all you're doing is playing into his hand. So
yeah,
it's
like
calm down.
it's kind of funny. So there's all these protests, right? Where a bunch of people with like Mexican flags are like protesting in the street.
Yep.
And it literally is benefiting the right more than the left right now. Because
Oh yeah.
you know, if you're so excited about that country, you know, like what do you,
Right?
right? I mean, it's like what go back, you know, it's like that energy is
Well,
going
for
to come out
me,
with it.
so like I have a couple different foundations of my pillars of my understanding of spirituality, and one of them is power versus force. David R. Hawkins.
Yeah,
And
I
this
know.
is really the power versus force thing. So essentially, like the fundamental thing is that you have uh power, which is essentially universal power, and force, which is like uh like a 3D like force as far as physics calls it. Like I'm applying a pressure onto something. And the thing is that like you can only hold down spirit so long, you know, and you can put all this stuff down. And we're now coming to this place where it's just like, and it's like you don't even have to say this is spirituality or higher stuff because people take a too much of a moral context to that. But the fact is that you've been suppressing human nature for this long
Yeah.
and not acknowledging human nature, and that is going to come out. And that's what a lot of what's coming out, and they're like, it's so ugly, it's so disgusting. It's like, yes, because you haven't done your fucking shadow work.
Yeah,
Heard
because
everything.
it's also been suppressed for a really long time. And Return of the Repressed is always kind of a little bit ugly when it first happens. Um,
By
Repressed.
definition, pretty much.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you
And the
recognize
Repressed is
it.
back, and it's going to be here for a while, so get used to it, kiddos.
Kiddos.
But the bigger thing that I think is happening, this is my was my big intuition on Imbolc, so Saturday,
Ooh.
is I think that the US is basically ceding unipolar power. I think that that's our goal. We're going to be pulling back a lot from a lot of the world. We're going to allow basically Russia to have some of their territorial gains. We're going to allow China to have some of their territorial gains. And basically, what we're going to say to China and Russia in response for that is like, and we're going to have some too. You know, it's going to be like Greenland, for example, maybe Canada. I'm sorry, Canada, but it might happen. You
Well,
just got to realize that it might happen. And I don't think that we're going to be the world's policeman anymore. I think we're pulling back to focus
Well-
on our area of the world. And we're going to basically let the rest of the world figure it out themselves. And I think that when we pull back, for as much as people have complained about us for many years across the world, you know, America's the big bad, the empire, the big naughty, you know, the nasty. I think they're going to realize how much we've been holding up a lot of shit that is no longer going to be held up.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think that that's going to be interesting. I think there's going to be some interesting things that happen with the EU because we're not really that aligned with them anymore. You know, there's going to be a lot of interesting things happening with Africa when we pull out a lot of our US, you know, our aid for whatever that is. There's going to be a lot of shit that happens in Southeast Asia when we kind of pull out, you know, our shit from there, you know? And
Yeah.
I don't think that, I think we're actually going to go into a period of more ultimately, like in the next 6 months or so, we're going to get to a pretty stable and increasing level here. But the rest of the world is going to be like a year behind us, you know? I think
yep.
we're figuring it out. And
Well,
I don't
there's
think
a-
people understand how well things are actually kind of going, especially considering we're taking on the cabal, you know, people that have been in power and basically robbing us blind for fucking you know, at least 80 years. I don't know, but probably centuries if you really think about it.
No, it's
in some
1913, right?
in some
Like, you
form
yeah,
or
got
yeah,
another.
exactly. It's
Um,
91 years. Yeah, exactly.
But
Well,
I
but
think if you
that's
go
just the
further
current.
back, there's still more there.
Well, that's the current reiteration of it, and different people have been at the helm. There's some nuance in that, but the key thing is that as far as our current scope of modern history, it's beyond our lifetimes. You know, is what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah,
For sure.
but it still affects us. No, I
No,
completely.
no,
I mean,
I get it.
I preach, Michael, because I completely agree. And like,
I don't think
Yeah.
anybody sees that. Very few people see that, though. That's the thing. You know, it's like
yeah,
there's a
Well, it's
few,
partially.
but it's just
Well, it's
beyond
for.
people's understanding to a certain extent.
Well, the
change
thing
takes time.
well, it's like we can all look back and look at why colonialism was bad. Because essentially, you're literally physically going into a space, you're taking their resources, you're ruining their culture, and literally exploiting people, taking shit, using them as slaves, you know, and such like that. And the problem is that globalism is modern day colonialism. It's
Yeah.
just a different it's a different context, but the same thing is how can I go in, dominate as a larger force without having to lose any of my own troops
Yeah.
go in and take all of the things I want from this country and get out with everything I want. And the
Well,
problem is
yeah.
that that's what the neoliberal economic order has been all about.
Yeah.
Basically, everything since post World War II. So the thing is it's not just cultural, and it's not just like it's because the ideologies, because that's when you had the neoliberals and the neoconservatives, at least in the United States, come about was post World War II. And since then, we've had this, like from Confessions of an Economic Hitman is a great
Yeah.
iteration of it. But it's just we've been forcing this stuff down. We've been forcing all of these cultures and all these people down for years, for decades, And it's like even if it's not spiritual higher consciousness coming out, it's just human nature is going to come out. But I also feel that with the internet, and if people actually plant the seeds of love and higher awareness, when people have the choice to, they're going to let those things sprout and evolve and bloom, because that's who we are as human nature for the most part as well. We're going to fight when we need to, but also when we realize we don't have to fight, most of the time, most people will sit here and be like, you know what? I don't have to do that. I can still maintain my boundaries without having to go to war. And I'm hoping that right now is that like with Trump in this way that he's a businessman and you know he got started off with a large sum which gave him advantages, but at the same time is that like uh he's outperformed the average businessman in a lot of ways.
Yep.
And a lot of that's through his own cleverness and whatever. And the thing is but more or less that like he understands the value of business. And as far as I'm concerned, and understand the world, is that like part of our biological imperative is to create more value in our lives. And so that basically means that we need to accumulate wealth. That doesn't mean like hoard it or, whatever, but it's still that thing that like we need things to survive, and we need, like, I need things in my life to control my life. And I think Trump, in what is as flawed as he is, he understands that people need things in their lives to survive. It doesn't need to be a gold toilet, but you need a fucking toilet, And I think that that's his underlying philosophy in this. And I also think that he's starting to get old man wisdom in that sense, where it's just like it's not about me anymore. When for the rest of his life it has been about him. Because I think if it was about him still, he wouldn't be doing this shit. He'd be fucking some model on the beach or whatever,
Yeah. I think you do have to recognize that, and he says this a lot, that he had a good life. He didn't have to do this, right? And he says that a lot. And I think that's true, I don't think he doesn't seem like somebody that's he's driven by ego to a certain extent, but he doesn't seem like someone that's he's driven to actually get the thing done that he wants to get done. He's driven by mission more than ego at this point. Maybe
I think
his
so.
first time he was driven a little bit more by ego.
Yes.
And this time he's like driven by mission. And I think that is the difference. And it was Jupiter kind of blessed his, it was exactly conjunct, pretty much his sun, Uranus, and North Node in the 10th when he got elected this time. Which really shows that, sometimes you're just a person of destiny. And he also did all the work to find the people around him that are going to be able to push things into place. And I think that there are a lot of people that are scared, but most of the people that I've seen that are really scared, the things that they're saying are not actually that grounded in reality. It's like people are running off a lot of fear right now, and that's being pushed too, by many state and non-state actors.
Yep.
But I don't see him as this like dangerous, well, I see him kind of as a dangerous person, but it's the danger is not aimed at the American people. He actually does want to help the American people. So We'll
Well,
see. I
and
mean, that's ultimately like what we're hoping for is a place that we can that our kids can have good jobs, you know, even if they're not like the smartest person on the block, they should be able to have a house and a wife and kids, you know? Like that is
yep,
the
yep.
key, you know? Our economic system has been fucking over the people for a really long time, and it's been by design. And just actually having a president that's trying to do something for the public is going to change the way that people see him positively a lot over the course of the next couple months because
Yep.
you can just do things and he's just doing them. And some of them will be challenged, some of them will be taken down by the Supreme Court, probably. Maybe not, though. But that's fine. That's why we have the system of checks and balances. And there's not actually anything that's attacking the system of checks and balances right now because there's still the courts, you know, there's you can still challenge things. So the
Yeah.
people that are screaming like it's a dictator, you know, it's like none of our systems are broken yet, you know. It's just we
Yeah.
won the election really strongly and we've got majorities in the House and the Senate and we have the Supreme Court, so you don't have very much leverage to do anything to challenge besides
Well,
sue.
for sure. And I think really what Trump's right now trying to do is kind of like change the rules to the game a little bit.
Yeah,
And the thing is
for
the
sure.
hard well, and so much of it's been like the way the government's worked is kind of loose. It's been ad hoc. It's been one of those things where it's like um things were done much more by tradition rather than by actual that's how it's literally specified in the in the rules,
Yeah.
so a lot of things that are happening right now and people are getting so upset about is much more about like decorum, but it's like unofficial decorum, you
Yeah.
know it's, oh, this is just the way things have been done, how, you know oh, I just, and so like it's the most interesting thing is like love him or hate him is that Trump has been redefining so many aspects of what American law is and how we live up to certain aspects of the Constitution, which is the same thing with like our freedom of speech. Our freedom of speech, that's the way we understand it today, has only gotten there with 150 years of court cases that have said, oh, you actually are allowed to say this. You actually are allowed to say this, and
Yeah.
such like that.
It's
Like
process.
you're allowed to say fire you're allowed to shout fire in a crowded movie theater. Actually, most people are wrong on that.
Yeah. That is one of those
Yeah.
things that they say as the example that isn't actually a real example. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It's like an
Yeah.
old wives' tale, you know.
It is.
Incitement
That's
to
an old
violence is a
MILF
real
tale.
thing, but
Yeah, incitement of violence is, but the yelling fire in a crowded movie theater, that's a fucking myth. You are legally allowed to. It's it's a whole fucking thing. Yeah.
well,
It's
and I
rude
mean,
I'm no
if it's not
lawyer,
on
but
fire. It's very
exactly.
nice if it is on fire because then maybe
Yeah.
people can get
Yeah.
out. You know?
But you
well,
can
but it's
also
also to remember
you
that
want-
like some speech is actually action. Like I can have declarative speech where I'm saying I am this, something's happening. You can have like inquisitive speech. You can have other stuff like so sometimes when you're actually saying words, you're actually doing an action. Sometimes you're just expressing yourself. So it's like language can be used for different things. And so I do understand how like incitement to violence, if I'm actually saying, hey, if I have power and people listen to me, which people don't right now, and I said go hurt person or go hurt types of people,
Yeah,
people
that's
have an
wrong.
influence, and you also have to realize in the sense of bell curve, you're
I don't
gonna
agree with
have a
that.
couple people. If your data set's big enough, you're gonna have a couple people in those extremes that are gonna do the things that you don't really want to.
I don't agree because if they choose to do those things, it's on them. I don't think that's the person saying the thing. I think that we have to give I'm definitely like a free speech absolutist. And if people choose, like, even if I said everyone out there go do X, Y, and Z, it's their choice to go do X, Y, and Z. I'm not holding a gun to their head. I'm not, like, just saying the words is not enough power. It doesn't matter how much influence you have. If you're just saying words and then someone chooses to go off of your words, it's basically like taking responsibility off of the active party of doing the thing to then put it onto the person. Oh, well, this person inspired me. Well, yeah, but you still were the one inspired. It's still your choice to to make those actions. So I don't think.
Have you read or watched Hamlet?
I know of it. That's a cute cat.
If I'm getting
Calico.
if the words right, Ophelia coerced Hamlet to kill someone on her behalf, essentially.
Yeah, but
so no, I hear what you're saying.
Chose to do the action.
Like, no, I hear you.
Who's responsible?
But did Ophelia not commit any crimes at that point?
No, because she didn't kill anyone. Why is it her fault? Like, why is it not the responsibility of the active person who did the thing? Like, why? Well, I was manipulated, or I was this. Well, it's like, it's your job to not be manipulated. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the individual's job to not.
Well, no. Let me agree with you, because yes, it is our job to stand up and maintain the energy integrity of our own energy fields, for sure,
and control our actions.
But at the same time, is if I affect other people, that I am incurring karma. So even though, like in my instance, Ophelia is still incurring karma, even though she doesn't do the act herself, she is still a part of the chain of events. Even if someone is manipulatable and essentially made a tool in the situation, yes, he has his own karma, but it's his karma in that situation is going to be different from her karma. But they still both got karma, because the thing is karma is essentially always teaching us to be more loving.
No, but karma is just cause and effect. And cause and effect is, words can create actions. I agree with that. But I think where we have to draw the line is that until there's actual things happening, until there's actual action happening, it's all bullshit. Because, like, I mean, I get what you're saying. It's all exactly like
theoretical violence is not the same as actual violence, for example.
Exactly. And like the person who acts is the one who, like, they're the one who ultimately makes the choice, and that's on them. Like, they cannot make the choice. Like, if they could control themselves, like, it doesn't matter. I mean, I understand that people can be manipulated. I understand that
it just sounds like you're blame you. But so you're saying in a causality of events that only one person maintains responsibility?
The one who acts, yes, they are the ultimate.
So hold on real quick. So do you believe someone like a president can order people into battle, and does that president just not in charge of the people that they tell people to kill?
That's a different situation, because in that situation, if you are say a soldier,
you have power over them.
Right? Yes, exactly.
What's the difference? What's the difference? The power of love, the power of fear, the power of obligation.
No. Because
all I'm saying is these are different types of karmic lessons. Each one of those are a different flavor and a different type of lesson that people have to learn.
But they're not the same, though. Like, following orders, and I'm not saying that following orders doesn't mean that it negates you of responsibility, but being like, if someone were to say, "Oh, it'd be so cool if you did this action," and then you go and do that action, it's like, well, that's your choice. Like, hold on.
So, sorry. I agree with what you're saying. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, but
yes, you do.
My other question is it's another example, I think, to clarify it. So it's very typical for women with borderline personality disorder, and this is just coming from the data as I understand it. Did
you get the data from ASO?
They can be very
That's bad data.
manipulative
That's
to their
bad data.
boyfriends, and to the point where you will have several women who have borderline personality disorder who actually have had multiple boyfriends who commit suicide because of the things that they say to them.
Yeah.
So they attract
Again,
weak men. Is that what you're saying?
this is gonna sound harsh, but
There's various
to take
yes.
to take one's own life is a choice. And no, a lot of people are not going to agree with that. They're going to be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. No, if you're going to, like, I'm sorry, but it doesn't matter the external stimuli, the external situation, including having a partner who is crazy, acts a certain way, tells you certain things. If you then choose to do a certain thing, like take your own life, you are choosing to do that. It doesn't matter how much influence there is. You still make the active choice. That's what I'm trying to say.
I agree. I agree with that. Totally.
And
it actually connects with the devil a little bit, and I'd like to talk about that for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, sweet.
People can connect with negative spirits, right? Like through Ouija boards or whatever, right? And through that connection, they might start getting, negative talk, right? They might start getting negative commands from this entity. The entity is there just to fuck you up, right? It's like there to hopefully lead you down the wrong path. But ultimately, it's your actions that matter. Like the devil's just doing his job to a certain extent. Some people are opposers, some people are, testers, right?
People act within their nature.
Yeah, but also it's like that free will. The outside influence is not the thing that makes it happen. It's the internal processing of that information and what you choose to do with it. So you can't give this is like a lot of the left is focused on this, where it's like it is how do they do this? It's like I'm trying to think of the perfect example for this. But the left tries to I can't do it. I can't think of it right now. But I was trying to I was on a line and then I lost it.
Fuck.
But
I was almost there myself, but
what? We have free will. We choose what we do. Like I hate to do the clap emoji. Clap, 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 clap. We ultimately, as much as it's easier to externalize
blame it on the devil or your friends or whatever
it is, exactly. Even if we're going to use the religious, like even in the Bible, we have free will. Like that's the whole point. We have the free will to choose to either go towards God and or to go towards the devil or devil. I mean, let's not get into that. To go towards evil, to go towards the negative, to go toward whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But even if a voice in your head is telling you things, you don't have to fucking listen. You have the choice to not fucking do the thing. Like, I think that's the biggest thing is people go, oh, well, this voice told me to do it. Well, it's like, okay, well, tell that voice to go fuck itself. Like, why did you go, oh, well, the voice said it, so I have to do it? It's like, no, you don't. You can tell that voice to go fuck itself. And that's ultimate power. You can tell
the BPD girl to go fuck herself. You can tell Ophelia to go fuck themselves.
Yes.
Right?
For sure. But here's but when you're talking about those voices within yourself, you need to learn how to contextualize them properly. And the same thing with the voices outside of yourself. If you don't have the worldview, and this comes back down to trauma and shit like that, where it's like, basically the only people getting manipulated are the people who have the trauma baggage. And so they have those vulnerabilities, which actually, I was going to make this point later, but it comes back down. It comes down to your demons. To essentially, demons are a metaphor to your weaknesses. It's more or less like a sin, which is like negative karma, which I believe at some point it translates into like essentially a bent wheel. That essentially it's an imperfection. That's what a sin is. And so when you have it's like a wound. It's like and so when you have a wound, it's easy to get infected. And the same thing is when you have a moral defect, a psychological defect in that sense, it's basically a weakness in which metaphorical demons can get in, but also you can have field infiltration from entities.
I completely get that. I think that it's our job to heal those wounds because
Oh, I'm getting there.
yeah,
Totally agree.
okay, because
Wait,
yeah,
I
go ahead.
remember my earlier thought, and I've got it.
Please.
Now. So
Go.
on, I remember recently in group, somebody came in like really hot with a bunch of mad stuff, you know, and like everybody was like responding to this person, and I remember some lady was like,
Oh, I know
"What
this
if?"
one.
What if this person kills themselves because they were bullied in your group? Don't you think you need to change all of your policies and how you interact with the world because they might kill themselves? And this is like the way that people can use weaponize empathy to a certain extent, right? Weaponize like
100%.
control your speech so that this imagined harm that could possibly happen to another person doesn't happen. So it's like there's this
Fear-based mind
manipulative
control.
aspect of that. And that's what I was trying to get earlier. And I couldn't like quite bring it into focus. But that happens all the time. And it's weaponized empathy and it's bad. So what does that say?
Well, that's what
Oh, just
religions
100.
and
It's the 100
governments are
emoji.
done.
Yeah.
Nice.
100%. No. Fucking nailed it. Exactly.
100% on point.
Yeah.
So
No.
Yeah.
No,
ultimately, we're not responsible for other people's actions. We're responsible for our own action. That is
Yeah.
all that we should be responsible, all that we're asked to be
Well, like,
responsible for.
Well, like, let me put it this way. We're responsible for our own actions, but we also have to recognize that our actions affect other people. So the thing is that
Sure.
sometimes our actions will influence other people's actions. That doesn't mean we're responsible for their actions, but we are responsible for the impact that we had on them.
But
if you
we're
understand
only
what I mean.
responsible for that in the sense of the life review, right? So at
Well,
the end of your life,
well, hold on. In the suicide thing, that means it
Okay.
falls somewhere in the middle. I'm not saying you're responsible for someone's suicide. Just go on.
Okay.
End of life review.
So end of life
ahead.
review. Supposedly, this is true. I don't know because I have not died this life yet. But
Congratulations.
you go through your life, and instead of going through your life just from your perspective, you go through your life and you feel the feelings and the reactions that you made in other people through your actions. So your life review is about like the sum total of like how you impacted the world. And it's not to like make you feel bad. It's to give you an understanding of like how you did over the course of this life and how you impacted people around you. Like, yeah, Ophelia, when she said, kill this guy or whatever, I don't know exactly how it all went down.
It's
Like,
been a while since I watched it.
she might have felt in the life review the certain, the persuasion that she made on that other person's mind that linked them to it, but she's probably not going to experience the death of the person that Hamlet killed, right? Or whoever, I don't know, killed. It's Hamlet, right?
Yeah.
But Hamlet,
Which was the
because he
king.
did the act, will experience the actual death that he caused. So if you harm people, you experience the harm that you did to those people from their perspective in the life review. If you love other people, help other people, you experience the things that you brought to them in that level too, right? So your life review is about learning what kind of impact you had as an individual on this planet. And nobody's perfect. The life review is supposedly to teach you how you fucked up.
As I understand, that is what you're talking about now. That's more of the like life flashing before your eyes phenomenon as you're doing your near death experience. So that essentially, as your soul is leaving your body, the consciousness is essentially recollecting everything that happened in that, but also having that experience, all that same life experience with the higher level consciousness with it. So you're
Yeah.
getting the lessons that you missed that you were supposed to get beforehand, essentially, to a certain degree. But depending on where you are at your developmental stage, sometimes you'll go into a buffer zone or whatever, which is more, to oversimplify it, a purgatory place where you just,
Yeah.
it's, you sit, you go work, and you go meditate through your shit before you can go on to the next phase of whatever you're doing in of your cycle.
Yes.
And we're all
And-
different.
And some people do so much heinous shit that they spend, I mean, it's a pretty somber fucking time for them in the aftermath, right? Like it's a somber time for their soul because your soul can get weighted down by your actions in body.
Well,
Even when it's
if you were
detached, you still have to deal with it.
well, the thing is that all your blind spots when you come back out, if you come back out, depending on whatever your trajectory is, but most of us come back out on that other side to be, if we were a terrible fucking person, we come out to that place and we're essentially like, just imagine yourself in that rubber room and you're going, oh my God, what the fuck did I do? Oh my fucking God. And you're freaking the fuck out. And you have to then calm the fuck back down before you can go on to whatever your next phase is. So you then have to go through therapy in that border experience and that buffer experience before you can move on. So it's like dealing with your shit now when karma
Way
moves
better.
way faster is way easier. And that's why people on their deathbed just were somewhat, we just feel it. Oh, wait, I need to get this work done now because it's way easier to get this work done as I'm on my deathbed than when I'm on the other side.
Yeah.
Well, the whole point of
that's
karma
why
is
we
to
incarnated in this body in the first place. Sorry.
achieve balance. Achieve balance. Actions that help you achieve balance are key. And that's not just the Libra in me. Like a lot of people get caught up in all this past life karma and all this different shit that which all can come out, you know, but it's like all that shit does not matter because we can always balance where we are in the world at this time. You know, it's not like there's a million things that we got to get done on our to-do list before we can be happy. None of that is true. We can balance wherever we are, whenever we are. It's not impossible. But it might be pretty difficult if we're really unbalanced, right? Like, or if we have a bunch of shit that we haven't worked on.
Can I jump in on these ideas for a sec?
Yes.
I need to pee. So I will
can I keep going?
Yeah, you can keep going.
Yeah, please. Yeah, I'm listening.
Just my two thoughts are, so with the karma idea of karma, our karma is individual. It's not about what we influence others to do or force others to do. It's because they have their own karma, and their karma might be, obviously our karma meets other people. Like karma is cause and effect. It's the idea of like the actions we take have effect, whether we want to or not. The things we do, the thoughts we have, the how we influence other people has effect. Understand? Now, it's not like some like thing where there's like some magical thing where like, you know, like, oh, if you're a good person, you just magically get, you know, gold and riches in the afterlife. It's more about you're judged for the actions that you do. Like when we're talking about this like afterlife state of being where like you're and so, and what's judged is your intention and what you it's not like, oh, like, you know, you can have a good intention, like truly a good intention, and like influence someone or like try to act in a certain way, and that's what's judged, is that, not the outcome of those actions. And the other side of it is, the astrological side of it is, we all have different karma. We all have different things that we're judged on and things that we're supposed to learn. And so like, you know, my karma might be to learn a certain thing, to develop certain things, because there's certain cause and effect in the way I go about things. That means, you know, I could stay stuck in a certain way and that will like shut me down, or I can grow in a certain way, but that's influenced through my individual astrological
Yep.
chart, like, you know, mine might be completely opposite to someone else's, but that's because it's individualized, because we incarnate on this area, in this plane of existence, to learn individually, to develop our soul, or whatever you want to call it. So I think that, like, yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're if you're being an evil person and you're like saying to someone like, yeah, do this evil thing, do this thing, do this thing. So to make your point earlier, Troy, it's like, yeah, you're going to be judged on that because your intentions are evil, or they're bad, or whatever. But it doesn't mean that you were responsible for their actions. It means that you're responsible for your actions, which is you're attempting to influence someone in a negative way. So, like, it's not like you're not responsible for someone else's actions, but you are responsible for your actions and your intentions. And if your intentions are to cause harm and to cause chaos, then yeah, you're judged on those actions, and that's your karma. Like, but at the same time, you're not responsible for someone else's actions. You're responsible for your actions. I think that's the biggest thing, is it's very individualized, and that's why we're all different. We all have different lessons to learn, so to speak, and different karmas and stuff. But like,
yeah,
you know, we're not responsible
Our souls
for someone
have
else.
different purposes.
Yes, exactly. And that's yeah.
No, and I totally agree. And which has also led me to a thing, because I think we have karma from this lifetime. We have karma from other lifetimes. We also have essentially like cultural and then we have like genetic karma as well.
Yeah.
Like from our family and such like that. And I think I've figured out another kind of karma is institutional karma. When you're part of a certain organization or group or team or whatever, there's going to be certain dynamics that are carried on there that are playing out within that context of that manifestation. And that because of the context of everything else going on in there, you can switch out one or two pieces, and then people will gain just because of, you know, breaking it down to what you were saying earlier, there's a lot of cause and effect already going on by just being in that context. You're being subject to it. And if you're going to take on a role in that institution or that energy field, you kind of have to take on the positive and the negatives with that energy field if you want to stay there.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a revelation I had recently.
Yeah. It's I think in a weird way, as much as connected as we are, we're all individuals. I mean, it's such a cliche, but this is the balance that Mike was talking about. It's like I know you were trying to imply the balance, but I'm saying there's a balance between, yes, we all affect each other and we're all one connected organism of blah, 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 the collective conscious, blah, blah, blah. But we're also
we are experiencing it.
Yes, but also very much individuals. And that's where the responsibility lies, because obviously the individual works on themselves, it affects the collective, because, you know, the more good, you know, the better we all are not good, that's moralistic. I just mean, like, the better we all are, or acting out who we should be. The better the whole is, because everyone's, you know, it's like a ripple effect. Like, you know, and you know what I'm trying to say. It's like, you know, the more we work on ourselves, all this stuff, like, then obviously the collective is affected in that way. And so, but I think that we come into, like, our culture is like, you know, we can talk about left and right. Like, the left is all about the collective. And versus the right, versus very much about the individual. Well, it's like, yeah, both are true. That's why we have these in our politics, for example, in our culture. It's like,
and we have the pendulum swing that kind of goes back and forth between the two.
Exactly.
That's why you never get too excited when you're ascendant, because it's the wheel of fortune, right? Like, you rise, you fall, sometimes you're stable.
Yeah.
But
It's belief, I say.
Some pendulum swings go a little bit further and last a little bit longer than others. So we'll see how it all goes. I'm feeling like we're getting about 10 years from this one before it really starts shifting again, but we'll see.
No, I think we're in a more positive. I think the last, like, decade or so has been kind of And I think we're now like, okay, we're going up a little bit. So I'm optimistic. I know obviously I'm forever optimistic, but like even in my stressful, serious state, I'm still optimistic that things are getting better. And like I can feel it in the back of my whatever you want to call it. But like
Yes.
things are, and you
Yep.
were talking about this earlier, Mike, but yeah, things are getting better. And like, yeah, the rest of the world will catch up, but like, because there's a lot of negative influence. I mean, I don't know how to use
Well, it's
the right
like
terms. Evil.
intuition is telling me right now that things are good.
Yeah.
Like that actually there's a plan.
Yeah.
Things are unfolding as they're supposed to. I don't exactly understand exactly how they're
Yep.
unfolding as they're supposed to, but I just know that they are. And there's an intuition that we're not actually in this very scary place. But there's also like these layers of intuitions that things are changing, right? So it's like
Yeah.
everybody has trouble with change in general. So it's those people that are most okay with changes happening that are probably going to be surfing through this the best. It like fits with their worldview, I guess. Like I would say Aquarians will probably do pretty well. It's that Pluto and Aquarius stuff. I think Aries will probably do pretty well because Neptune and Aries. It's going to be about becoming on a core, like the Neptune moving into Aries is about becoming in a core spiritually who we are. So it's not about being good or bad. Like those are important, but the point of the soul is to become so aligned with your soul that you're just yourself in the world. And when you're just yourself, like really yourself, um, life, you'll do what you're supposed to do. It's like you will draw what you need and you'll get through it fine because you're expressing who you are and who you are is needed in this world. It's like there's so many masks and so many layers that we actually put on ourselves or programming or whatever that cuts us off from our core self. And the whole point is to be our core self, even if it pisses other people off, even if it like, doesn't get us the accolades that we otherwise would maybe get, even
Yep.
if
Oh
it,
yeah.
even if it, to a certain extent, like if you go by the Christian ethic, even if it gets you put up on a cross, you should be yourself, like you're supposed to
At
express your soul
least we're out in
on
the
this
fresh
earth.
air.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
At least we're out in the fresh air.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we need to go on the cross anymore, though. That's the whole fucking point, I guess, is that's not, it's already been done. We don't need to do that ourselves.
Well, but
There's a lot of us we don't need to do it as one. We can do it at one at a time. We can do it together too. I think that there's a lot of ascension vibes that I've been feeling lately too. And I think that's part
well,
of what's
that's
been helping me to not be scared of what's happening because I know that change needs to happen for the next things to come. And I feel like everything's accelerating, it's getting faster
well,
and faster. And that's
and
good.
karma is also like just to kind of build on what you were saying. Karma is not just an individual thing too, like I was saying, because some of the karma that there's like, let me put it this way, there's also like elective karma in a sense that we can choose to take on karma for the entire earth grid
Yeah.
or the entire grid of our community or the grid of our family, but
Yeah.
we can choose to take that karma on depending on what energy collective or energy center we're a part of.
Well,
Uh,
you might get called into a family or something like that that
exactly.
needs you, right? And you decide to take on this really tough family situation, or abuse or whatever, and you take it on because your goal is to help heal a pattern that's been repeating through generations, generational trauma kind of patterns. So you choose to come in to try to fix that.
Yep.
You're not always going to succeed if you take on an elective like that, But if you do, you break a chain, and that's a fucking great thing. You know, it's crazy
Yep.
how much impact that has for the whole world when you break one of those. I would call that like genetic almost karma. You know, it's like something that's
Yep.
bone deep in some senses, because patterns get repeated through families, they get
Well,
repeated through lifetimes, they get repeated all the
so
time.
yeah, sorry, 100% agree. It just you totally reminded me of something, and I wouldn't have even thought to bring it up. So when I haven't done many spiritual healing things. I usually just talk to my higher self and say, "Hey, deal with this." But the same thing of like when you're dealing
That's
with
cool.
the therapist can see into your blind spots because they have experience of asking the questions that you haven't asked because you haven't thought about them yet for whatever, because you didn't have that karmic experience, so you have somebody else who has a different perspective. And so I've had someone who gave me a good reading one time, and when my dad died, I just had the intuition hit, call Rita. I was like, okay, sweet. So I called Rita and I paid her for reading or whatever. And she was more or less, and she was like, you have a lot of genetic stuff coming up right now. And it basically came down to that, like, not just my dad, but like from what I could tell from when she was talking to me, my intuition was like hundreds of years of family trauma were just getting activated in my gene code when my dad died. And that essentially she was stopping that from getting activated, and with that healing hundreds of years of karma, and the way that, time is non-existent, so essentially helping healing all those wounds for generations. And I could feel that happening in my body during that time too, because it was intense. So
Yeah. It's like she acted as kind of a psychopomp, or as
more or less her modality is more
a
or less that
channel.
yes, exactly, she would ask a couple questions. She had a pendulum to help her see which questions she needed to ask, and then all she would do is say, hey, blank person's higher self, what do you need to do? This, do you need to do that, do you need to do this? Okay. And then, okay, would you do this? And so basically all she was doing was just having a conversation with that person's higher self, and then asking their higher self to do it. That's it.
Interesting.
Wow.
I think I might be towards the end of the night, boys. What do you think?
I was just gonna say I have to wrap it up.
I need some food. I don't even know what time it is, but
Yeah.
I'm just so enjoying this
Yeah.
that I've just
No, it's been great.
I've stopped thinking about everything else. It's been a
No,
long
it's-
week, and you guys are lovely fellows.
Yeah.
And
I haven't eaten in a while. I need to eat more.
yeah, we should get
I ate
together
food
and
tonight.
have
I ate,
Bello Jello.
what is it called? Asparagus. My wife made asparagus with butter. So when I went down to
that's
pee,
so
it smelled so bad.
That's good.
Asparagus has that smell when you pee, and it's almost immediate. I have no idea
Well, you
how
got to
it can
get
be so
organic.
immediate. What?
Organic's so much better for that.
For a pee smelling?
And it's funny. I literally have a box here for organic asparagus. It's one of my boxes that I've just moved in.
Nice. I figured if you ever, just for a last thought for the night, if you ever needed to figure out if squirt is actually pee, wouldn't you just feed her asparagus first, and then you'd know like immediately? Wouldn't that just prove the thing one way or the other?
But if
Like
she
it
has a good
feels like that
microbiome, she's
seems.
going to digest all that properly. And if it's
Where's my 100?
organic, you wouldn't really know.
Right? I mean, I just think that that's absolutely true, and I think people are scared of the truth, then they will never test it. That is because they know deep down inside that it's pee. And if they're
Well-
cool, they're just into it. It's fine. But
Well,
the ones that are pretending that
Oh,
it's
you nailed
not,
it.
these people are they're sick people.
Mhm.
yeah.
They just can't handle the truth.
You know what they say? Sick people make dick people. So
Oh yeah.
It was a
Oh.
pleasure, guys.
Yeah.
Have a great night tonight.
I gotta go eat.
yeah. Talk
to you
soon. Be well. Love
Peace.
you all.
Bye, bros.
Peace.